Hey guys, welcome to Motoroids. My name is Amit and this is the Tork Motors Kratos R, the high performance version of this platform. There is a lower powered version of this motorcycle also available, which is called just the Kratos. And this is technically speaking the second EV motorcycle that India has seen. The first one was the Revolt RV400. We are going to obviously compare it with that motorcycle also in this review. But we are going to primarily focus on how good this is. What are its pros, what are its cons, and should you be buying it in its current form. अगर ये वीडियो आप हिंदी में देखना चाहते हैं तो अब हमारा हिंदी चैनल शुरू हो चुका है और वहाँ जाकर के आप तुरंत सब्सक्राइब कीजिए. अब आपके पास शिकायत करने का कोई मौका नहीं है, तो वहाँ जाइए, सब्सक्राइब कीजिए और इस वीडियो को हिंदी में देखिए. So without wasting much time, let's start with the details. And in terms of dimensions, this motorcycle is slightly longer than the RV400, although the wheelbase here is slightly shorter. Surprising because the RV400 feels like a smaller motorcycle, although the seat height here is shorter. It's quite tall on the RV400, 785 mm of seat height here, 800 plus on the RV. So getting a stride on this motorcycle is definitely a little easier, and for someone who's as tall as me at 5 feet 10, it's pretty easy to get astride. And for the shorter riders amongst you also, this motorcycle would be slightly easier to mount than the RV400. Now, I know that that's not the most important thing that you are interested in, but what Tork is projecting it as is as a bigger motorcycle than the RV400, and this does look bigger. And in terms of styling also, they have done a rather neat job of it. The headlight in its triangular shape looks very, very nice, and the tank panel, the side panel and the rear, all of it has been very, very neatly done. I also like what they have done here, wrapping the battery pack, which is exposed. So in terms of styling, there is nothing to complain about. This motorcycle does come across as a very, very stylishly designed motorcycle. Now, to compare it with its primary rival, that's the RV400, let's talk about some of the specs. So this top of the line version of the Kratos R comes with a 4 kilowatt hour battery pack. Compared with the RV400, there you have a 3.24 kilowatt hour battery pack. So you have an advantage of about 0.76 kilowatt hour here. In terms of power also, you get a peak output of 9 kilowatt, which is about 12.2 horsepower for the R variant. For the lower variant, you have the peak power output at 7.5 kilowatt or 10.2 HP. The continuous power output here on both the variants is 4 kilowatt, which translates to 5.4 HP. Now compare this with the RV400, which has a continuous power supply of 3 kilowatt, and this one definitely has an advantage. It does its 0 to 40 in 3.5 seconds and can hit a top speed of 105 kilometers per hour for the R variant. For the standard variant, it can hit a top speed of 100 kilometers. I tested this bike personally, and on the speedo, the top speed that I registered was 106 kilometers per hour, which is 1 kilometer per hour more than what is specified. But then obviously there would be some speedo error there, and there must be some difference as compared to the stated top speed, but it's pretty close to what has been stated. Now in terms of range, there are some really, really impressive numbers here, and the maximum range of this motorcycle in the eco mode, it has two modes, it has eco and sport, and in the eco mode, the range of this motorcycle is 120 kilometers, which is pretty good, one of the best in the segment. If you talk about the IDC cycle, which is a number which no EV is generally able to attain, it's 180. And comparing it with the RV400, the RV400's IDC number is 150, so it gets 30 more. So the range here is reasonably better compared with the Ather 450X, and it's even better. So there you have an IDC number of 116, here you have 180. So in terms of range, this one definitely has a big advantage. You would also be interested in knowing how much time it takes to charge. So it takes about 4 hours to charge fully as compared to RV400's 4.5 hours. And if you use a fast charger, it will charge to 80% in 1 hour. So those were the specs, but how well does the bike perform? Well, in terms of acceleration, while the name is Tork and it comes across as a very, very sporty motorcycle, the focus here is not outright acceleration or performance. What Tork is focusing on is range and linear acceleration, which can be used in the city, and they're very clear about that. Don't want this motorcycle to be projected as a motorcycle which is the best in terms of performance or top speed or acceleration. It has got reasonable numbers and it accelerates rather briskly, but the focus here is the range. And I tested this motorcycle for some time, and going by the number of kilometers that I logged versus the range that was showing here, the distance to empty, I think it was pretty consistent. And in the eco mode, the numbers that have been projected, that is 120 kilometers, is more or less correct, unless you are riding in treacherous conditions. If you're going uphill, then those numbers are going to come down. Talking about uphill, the big Achilles heel of this motorcycle is the fact that it tends to heat up while you're going uphill, especially in hot conditions. And unless you are riding on a flat surface in a cool atmosphere, this motorcycle does tend to heat up a little bit. And if you're going up a very steep hill, especially in the sport mode and ringing the throttle, the temperature gauge here, which is there on the instrument console, goes up very quickly, and after a point the motorcycle stops making progress. So the heat management here needs to be improved. I'm not very sure whether it's specific to this motorcycle, but heat management on this motorcycle definitely can be better, especially while you're going uphill. Also, when you're going uphill, you can see a steep decline in the performance of the motorcycle. Of course, when you are in the eco mode, the performance is not all that brisk. In sport mode, you can instantly feel that there is a bump up in terms of performance, and that difference can clearly be felt. So while for most part, if you're riding in the city, if you don't have some very steep inclines in the form of hills, I think this can deal with a flyover very easily. But if you're going up a steep hill, it does tend to heat up quite significantly, and that's something that Tork will have to take care of. Now, in terms of build quality, when it comes to the body colored panels, I don't have any complaints. The paint here is pretty good. The stickering here could probably have been better. It feels like it's been put on and it's not very neatly done. Ditto with the sticker here. So while the panels are very good, some of the plastics, like the ones here, the black plastics, aren't the best quality that I've seen. Although fit and finish in most parts seems acceptable. The quality is not bad at all. Some parts, like these exposed wires, are not acceptable, and these things could probably have been more neatly finished. It's not the most sophisticated, the most advanced instrument console or switch gear that I've seen. Some mainstream automakers, like say the Ather or TVS, they come up with switch gear and instrument console which is better in terms of how it looks and feels, but it's not bad at all for a startup. And this does come across as a motorcycle which has been reasonably well built. The quality of the seat cushioning is also pretty good. Although the pillion seat is not meant for long distances, the payload on this motorcycle is 150 kg, which means you can load 2 adults weighing 75 kg on this motorcycle. There is this grab rail here also. The lighting all around is LED. At the rear also you have LED, the blinkers I meant, and the tail lamp is also LED. Now if you look at the headlight, the upper 2 units are low beam, and this little light that you see here is the high beam. Let me just show you this. And if the side stand is on, the motorcycle will not move, and as I remove the side stand, you will see that the top part of the headlamp will also get illuminated. Now this mirror here is very good. You can get a very clear view of what's coming from behind. The switch gear for most part is decent. It's not the best I've seen, but it's okay, and I'm not complaining much. So you basically have to switch to the ignition mode and press it twice to make sure that it's on, and these 2 lights will then come up. Let me just show you how it works. So when I go to ignition, it doesn't turn up, but when I press it again, these lights go on, and then the motorcycle is ready to move. Okay. Now the switch gear here has some buttons, and you have this button for hazard lights, but to engage any button you have to first press that button and then press this button again. So for example, I am in sport mode right now, and if I want to shift to the eco mode, I'll have to press E and then press this button, and now it's shifted to eco mode. Similarly, this motorcycle comes with a reverse mode, and if I have to go to the reverse mode, I have to first press this button, then press this button, and now this motorcycle is going to help me maneuver itself by going into the reverse mode. Sport mode definitely feels a lot quicker, a lot faster. And apart from that, the ground clearance here is 165 mm, which is lower than the RV400's 200 plus ground clearance, so that definitely here is not an advantage. Apart from that, the home charging socket is right here from where you can charge it. This motorcycle doesn't come with the hub mounted motor, and it's not even belt driven like the RV400. This one is a chain driven motorcycle, and this also uses a different kind of a motor and is apparently the only motorcycle which comes with that kind of a motor. Now if you look at the swing arm also, it's not a box type swing arm, and if you can see that this is a complex panel and it seems pretty sturdy to me. At the rear you have a monoshock which is not adjustable, and up front you have tubular forks. There doesn't seem to be any problem with this setup. However, when you talk about the brakes, this motorcycle first and foremost does not come with an ABS system. This motorcycle comes with a CBS system, and since this does not have any gears, you will not see any gear shifter levers or any brake pedal or anything of that sort. So you only have two brakes and they are controlled right from here. So I was talking about the brakes, and the braking on this motorcycle could definitely have been a little bit better. When you're dropping the anchors, first I would have wanted the brakes to be slightly sharper, and secondly, when you are braking hard, you can definitely see that the motorcycle is weaving about. It doesn't stop in a straight line, and there is a little bit of a wallowing that is happening there, which is not desirable. So if you're bringing the speed of this motorcycle down from triple digit speeds, I really believe that the braking here could probably have been a little bit better. The handling is fine, it's okay. It's not something that I would whine or complain about, but it's not the best I've seen. It does feel slightly higher in terms of center of gravity, although the motor is down below. But when you're leaned over, it is not the most connected experience that you get. The acceleration here is decent. It's not one of the punchiest motorcycles or scooters that I have ridden in the EV segment also. The Ather, to be very honest, feels brisker off the block, but then again the range here is better. And since Kratos is projected as a motorcycle which is going to have range as its USP, I am not going to complain much either. Now there is this little box here which can be used as a utility box, but before we open that, we have to see this panel here, and this is meant for fast charging, although a fast charger has not been employed yet. But on the production version, you'll have a fast charger which can be used on Tork Motors network, and fast charging for the first 2 years will be free. Now underneath this panel you have some storage space as well. Now to open this panel, you have to press this key and twist it, and then this panel opens up, revealing some very usable space. And while this cannot store a helmet, but this definitely can store a small vegetable bag or maybe your groceries, some milk. So this definitely is very usable. You won't have any bags dangling from the handle, and you can use this space to store stuff. You also get a USB charging socket here, and this one is 5 volts and 2.4 amperes. So this space can also be used for charging your phone, and then you can lock it securely and it cannot be opened just like that. Now in terms of riding position, the foot pegs for the rider are reasonably rear set. The riding position is to my liking. It's not too upright, not too committed, and it's going to be quite comfortable, at least for the amount of range that you've been offered. And I believe that they have done a good job with the riding position, and ditto for the foot pegs for the pillion rider as well. And the quality of these foot pegs, although not top notch, is reasonably good. The fit and finish on the chassis and other parts also is reasonably good. I don't have any problem there. The only issue I have is with this switch gear, which could probably have been better quality, and some of the plastics which are black in color. Now coming to the instrument console, this motorcycle does come with Bluetooth connectivity, although the connectivity is not on the instrument console. You'll get an app. This comes with a device, and your phone will be connected to the motorcycle on the app, and there you can see all the data. It will come with geofencing and whatnot. It will give you a lot of data, but it will not be visible on the instrument console. It will be visible only on your phone through the app. So that's something that you'll have to be mindful of. The features that will be available on the app, I'll mention that in a bit, but let's first have a look at the instrument console. Now as you can see here, you have distance to empty, the mode that has been employed. Right now we are on the eco mode. You can also switch to sport mode. Then apart from that, you have this temperature gauge which rises up pretty quickly if you're going uphill. You have the charge left here as well, and you also have a lot of telltale lights. You have turn indicators, you have high beam, then you have this button here, then you have this light here which comes on when you're charging it. This tortoise that you see here turns on when there is a malfunction, and the battery and the entire power system shuts down and goes into safe mode, where the speed is limited to 20 kilometers per hour, and it will take you home safely without putting too much stress on the system. Then you have this light here which is for side stand. So it's a side stand indicator. You have low battery indicator as well, and then finally you have a soft error light as well. Apart from that, you have this mode button which lets you see 2 trip meters, the odo, and the average speed as well. The maximum speed on the speedo, as I mentioned, is 106 km per hour achieved by me. You also have a clock, and that's pretty much it. If you want to set anything, you can use the set button right here. Now what impresses me the most about this motorcycle is the fact that this is one of the most stylish looking motorcycles in the EV segment out there. And if you want something which matches your personality, if you're not used to riding a scooter, if you want to be riding a motorcycle, then this is one of the best looking motorcycles out there, which will go well with someone who wants to be seen on a proper motorcycle rather than a scooter. So that's one of the big advantages. Another advantage is the range, and it does have a very generous range and can be used within the city without much range anxiety. Apart from that, the heat management here could probably have been better. The features here are not the best, but it does come with a lot of features, and let me just talk about the features that this motorcycle offers. It comes with regenerative braking, mobile connectivity, in-app navigation, crash alert, remote charging status, ride analytics, guide me home lights, and of course it comes with OTA updates for the app as well. With the app you also get geofencing, find my vehicle function, motor walk assist. It also gets a track mode and analytics where you can time yourself on a lap, as well as a vacation mode where you can put it in the vacation mode if you're going for a long vacation. In terms of colors, this motorcycle is available in white, blue, red and black, and comes with a warranty of 3 years or 40,000 kilometers. Which brings us to the pricing. And in terms of price, if you compare it with the RV400 or the Ather 450X also, which are the two most powerful performance oriented EVs in the market right now, it's rather well priced. And the price of this bike for the standard version is 1,02,000 rupees, and for the R variant it's 1.17 lakh rupees, and it's relatively less as compared to the RV400, which comes for 1.25 lakh rupees, and if you compare it with the Ather 450X, that bike comes for 1.38 lakh rupees. Now, while from the styling and range perspective this motorcycle hits the sweet spot, this is not a fully finished product in my opinion, and it still requires some work. And if Tork can deal with that issue quickly, this bike is going to present itself as a very stylish, very well priced, and the most reliable in terms of range. So it's a very competent product. However, it's not fully finished yet. There are some small rough edges which need to be ironed out. But if you're looking for a motorcycle in the EV segment, do check this motorcycle out, and I'm pretty sure that you are going to like it for some of its qualities. Although this one doesn't have the most amount of features, and in terms of outright acceleration also there are a couple of other bikes which are slightly better, but this is a well-rounded product and might fit the bill for quite a lot of you. I really hope that I was able to answer all your questions about the Tork Motors Kratos R. But if you still have any further questions, if you have any other doubts, you can put them down in the comments section, and as always we're going to try our best to answer all your questions. If you like our long format detailed videos which you probably won't find anywhere else, do hit that like button, subscribe to Motoroids, do tell your friends and family about us, share this video on WhatsApp and Facebook, and until next time, this is Amit Changani signing off. Rev hard, rev free and ride safe. अगर ये वीडियो आप हिंदी में देखना चाहते हैं तो अब हमारा हिंदी चैनल शुरू हो चुका है, और वहाँ जाकर के आप तुरंत सब्सक्राइब कीजिए. अब आपके पास शिकायत करने का कोई मौका नहीं है, तो वहाँ जाइए, सब्सक्राइब कीजिए और इस वीडियो को हिंदी में देखिए।